Hi, gorgeous. Welcome to the lounge of the Single Women's Society, our virtual lounge for now. I am your host and dating coach, love coach, Kat Cantrell. So welcome to the show, my love. I'm thrilled that you've decided to spend some time with me today. So I invite you to come on in to grab your drink of choice. And I want you to imagine that we're just sitting down in the lounge together. And I'm going to share with you, I haven't shared what I think about this topic really much at all. And the reason why I want to share it with you today is because this is something I'm working with the women in the Peacock Room. And this is actually a subject that we've been covering for the last, how long, ladies? I think it's been a couple months. And I've been helping them. And in fact, just for frame of reference, so this past weekend was Halloween. And the women went out to put this to the test. And I'm going to explain to you more about that in just a moment. I'm going to share with you the 4 different ways that you can approach someone if you're interested in them. But before I go into all of that, here's my announcement. So remember how I told you I have this big event? I have this big event. I'm working on it behind the scenes. I'm hoping to be able to release. So the information won't be released by the time this airs, but shortly thereafter. So if you are following me on all of the socials, most likely socials and email address, through my email newsletter, you'll be the first to know of what's going on. And this is big. This is really big. I've been working on this for months, and it's going to take some more months to keep pulling it together. But I do believe that it's going to be a game changer. That's how big this is. So this live event. So stay tuned. I can't wait to tell you all about it. Okay, so today's topic is one of my favorites. I love talking about how to approach someone in real life. If you're feeling the vibe, if you're in the room and you can see them across the room and you've made eye contact, or maybe there's just someone in the room, you're just like, oh man, I really want to get to know this person. But most of the time we don't. We leave it up to the other person to approach us. Am I right? And then you'll leave and you'll think, and you always think to yourself, oh my gosh, maybe that was a missed opportunity and maybe I should approach them. But there's not enough information out there that really tells women how to do that. And I have been challenging the women in the Peacock Room to do this because here's why. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this subject to you, is because I'm going to be flat out honest with you. I think that women are burned out with online dating, period. You're done. I think COVID, even though I think that there's some great things that came of it. Don't get me wrong, but I do feel that COVID hurt it a lot to now where online dating is saturated. There's people that are not taking it so seriously, even though I'm an advocate for it. I will always be an advocate for it because it's a different way of meeting somebody, just like with everything else. But you have to have a steady foundation and know what you're going in for and know what you're looking for and know exactly, have a clear understanding of kind of what you're getting yourself into. But I do feel that now that women are getting more out and about, that you're going to come across someone where you might be interested in them. If you're sitting in a room and you're like, oh my gosh, this person's making eye contact and I don't know what to do. So I thought that this would be a great topic. And I want to tell you my explanation of the 4 ways that you can approach someone that you're interested in real life. Now, let me, full disclosure, little asterisk on this little guy. This is complete strangers. So we're not going to talk about if you already have someone in your life. So we're not talking about going from being friends and then maybe moving forward in a more romantic way. I'm not going to cover that today. I am going to cover just complete strangers. So you're out and about, you see someone, they catch your eye and you're just like, But you don't have to be intoxicated to do any of these things either. I think that liquid courage, I get it. I understand. Believe me, I've had many opportunities of putting people on stage. And I used to have this talk with before I put on a show, I used to have this talk and say, okay, I watched, everyone watched their alcohol intake because nerves get the best of us and you can drink too much. And yeah, that's never, as we know, the end result of that is never good. So before I go into my top four, I'm going to tell you a little story. True story. I actually approached my ex-husband. Now we all know what ended up happening with that, but I've always been an advocate for women some to approach someone that you're interested in. I believe in taking life, taking the bull by the horns, as they say, to seize the opportunity. I've always been that way. And maybe this is just part of my character and just part of who I am, but this is a part of what I teach women to do. This is part of the fun of dating. This is the part of the fun of connection. And for me, uh, the fear of being turned away or disappointed or it never even dawned on me because I was always I was never attached to the outcome. I just thought I would seize an opportunity. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it's okay. At least I walked away saying to myself, hey, I did this. And I know the end result. And I don't have to walk away saying, oh, I wonder, I wonder, I wonder. So my ex-husband and I, we met in college, and I remember when we met, I remember thinking to myself that hearing stories that he was interested in me, he never approached me. So I finally just said, you know what? I'm just going to do this and I'm going to approach him. And then, and then we end up dating, and then we end up getting engaged and married and divorced. Right. But I have my two amazing kids and I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change anything about it. But you can see why I'm a huge advocate for this. Women need to be more confident in themselves and know that you too can approach someone when you're interested in them. Because here's the thing too, and I want to make this very clear. People are people are people are people. So just because you're a woman and say that they're a man, it doesn't mean that they're going to be any more nervous or it's more nerve-wracking for them or less nerve-wracking for them because they're a man. You're both people. And sometimes as women say, well, maybe I'm too intimidating. Well, if you feel that you're the type of person who's too intimidating, then my love, you take the bull by the horns, you approach the person, you approach them. So I'm going to give you 4 different ways of things that you can say. Maybe that's what the episode should be called. The 4 different things that you can say in order to kind of break the ice when you go to approach a complete stranger. Now, this can be in if you're involved in different activities. This could be at a bar. These 4 different ways can really be done anywhere. It doesn't have to be in some kind of major social setting. They really can be done anywhere. So, number 1, small talk. This is kind of the most boring one, to be honest with you, because I know some of you are probably listening to this and you're saying to yourself, small talk, really, Kat? Really? Yeah, I know. But it's true. Sometimes you don't even know what to say. And instead of like coming up with some scripted approach, here's the benefit of small talk. When you start with small talk, most likely you're nervous and they're probably nervous too. You're going to be the most yourself. You're going to be authentically you. So when you just approach someone and you just start a conversation of being like, hey, what do you think about, what do you think about this club? Or, hey, what are you drinking? Or something, some question that you go into to start small talk. You can always just say, hi, how are you? That's fine too. Because here's the thing. When someone has approached you, I'm sure that you said to yourself, maybe even if it ended up being a no in your mind, maybe it was a no, you still admired their confidence. You still walked away saying, wow, that person had a lot of confidence. They approached me. They asked me. So no matter what, you approaching them is already showing that you're confident in yourself, that you're confident in your ability to be able to break the ice and to approach someone. Believe it or not, men find this, and maybe you already know, I'm sure you know, men find this very sexy. Confidence is very, very sexy. Now, I have to tell you, there are many times where I'm like, oh, I'm going to do a whole episode about confidence. But believe it or not, every single episode is about confidence. Take it as you want. Really, when we strip it all away, it's all about you loving yourself and being the most confident woman. Because when you're in that headspace, you're going to date mindfully. You're going to allow people in your life who deserve to be in your life. Anyway, I digress. So, small talk. Hey, what are you drinking? Hi. What do you think of this bar? What do you think of the bartender? What do you think, if you're in like a kickball league, what's your favorite whatever, right? Just think of, I almost said position. Sorry. I catch myself because I wasn't going to say it. Oh my goodness. And I just said it. But, that would be funny, right? If you're both on a kickball league and you're like, what's your favorite position? And he's like, what? And you're like, on the field. Duh. Right? Do you see what I did? Do you see what I did right there? Like it's breaking the ice. It's making small talk. It's a pun on words, right? So this pun on words, is that a thing? I feel like that's not a thing. Anyway, you get the point. Okay. So number one is small talk. Just start small talk. Just start because your confidence is going to speak for itself. It's super sexy. It doesn't matter. Just walk in, you can start talking to them. And if they don't talk back, then there's no like huge emotional involvement at this point. It's no waste of your time, right? It took like a blip of your time and off you go, right? If they don't reciprocate or if they don't talk to you back, then you're like, okay. Then instead, you wouldn't have walked away that night going, oh man, I wish so-and-so would have approached me. You already got your answer. It's probably a jerk. And you're like, okay. I read an article when I was preparing for this episode. I read an article of this woman. It was from the Washington Post. And I want to say it was back in 2016 that she wrote it. And she said that she had actually approached a man for small talk. She went up and said hi. And he said hi back. And they ended up exchanging phone numbers. And then he ended up like calling her 20 times the next day. And she ended up having to block him. But still, she walked away going, now I know. I took the moment. I took the opportunity. She sees the opportunity. And that's the thing too, is you having like this great, amazing perspective on it. Instead of being attached to the results, being like, oh my gosh, what are they, instead of worrying about what they think about you or what's ultimately going to be the end result from this, you're just in the moment. You're just there to make a connection. If there's no connection, it's water off a duck's back, right? I'm coming up with all kinds of these things for this episode. That's interesting. I'm making myself sound really old. Okay. All right. Number 2. I'm getting a kick out of myself today, ladies. Okay. Number 2, compliment them. Easiest. So if small talk isn't your jam, it's okay. Compliment them. Now here for number 2 and number 3, you can say this, and then here's my cat trick. This is to me, like, this is the best. This is a very teasy kind of thing, but you can walk up to them and you can compliment them and say, hey, I really like your shirt, and walk away. And they're going to be like, wait, what? Where did she go? It's automatically just like, again, you're showing your confidence. You're showing that you're not attached to the result, that you're just being in the moment. And that's being very playful, very flirty, very just kind of nonchalant, right? And this isn't you, because this is you. I know you can do this, but to easily just give them a compliment and then just walk away, I bet that they will follow you, most likely, because who does that? And it's fun and it's exciting and it creates tension within this connection, this newfound connection that you are creating. So pay them a compliment. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to be extravagant. It doesn't have to be anything super fancy. It could just be easy and like, I really like your shirt, or you look great in that. Compliment. I don't believe that men get enough compliments when it comes to that kind of thing. Women, of course, men pay women lots of compliments about how they look. And when, that's how kind of sometimes conversations start, but very rarely do you hear about women doing that for men. So it does make you stand out, and it makes everyone feel good in the moment. Truly, you're paying a compliment, they're receiving a compliment. Again, not being attached to the result, just being like, hey, and then just walking away. Okay. So that's number 2. Number 3. Okay. So I actually discovered number 3 when in the Peacock room. So I actually this used to be a 3 steps. I had 3 different ways that you could approach someone, but I actually have 4 because as I was coaching them, it kind of came out and I was like, oh my gosh, this is really good. Now, if this is when you're feeling really, and if this suits your personality, so this may not suit your personality. Again, just take each of these for what it's worth. So this might not suit your personality at all, but if you are a funny, sarcastic, very, kind of outgoing kind of gal, I would challenge you on this. I would challenge you on this. In fact, if I was in your town and you and I would go out, I would be the person that would be sitting at the table and I would challenge you on this particular one. Okay, so number 3, the most ridiculous funny joke that you can think of, or funniest, not joke, funniest pickup line, which is a joke. The most ridiculous pickup line that you can think of. The corniest, ridiculous pickup line. And then I would do the same thing as you do with number 2, right? So you go and, the cheesy pickup lines. I meant to write some down so that I could give you some examples, but you already know what they are because most likely you've had one of these said to you. And I bet that every time you've had a cheesy pickup line said to you, you remember that person, right? It's memorable. It's funny. It immediately shows your personality, right? You don't take yourself too seriously. You're not taking this too seriously. You're truly just looking for connection. Again, not being tied to the end result. You could just give them a cheesy pickup line and then off you go, walk away. Boom, done. There's something we all say, and when I ask women, what is it that you're looking for in someone? And funny is a lot of it, right? So I know laughter is super important to me. I know if you follow my Instagram reels, you know that they're a little ridiculous. It's because I do have this quirky, funny side to this is the more serious side of me. The show gets the more serious side of me, but I use Instagram reels as a way to express this like funnier side. And so it's important. Humor is really important to me. Brian and I spend a good part of our days every day. I'm really lucky because Brian he's an entrepreneur and he works from home. So we spend all day together too. So he's actually in the next room, but him and I laugh all the time and it's really important. And so I think that when you go up and you do a cheesy joke or a cheesy pickup line, it is going to make you stand out and it is going to show your humor and it is going to show your funny side and that you are laid back. And again, it's a very quick way of being able to approach someone, to be able to break the ice and show them your personality all in one swoop. You just got to get there. You just have to have enough confidence to walk up and to say it and to walk away. And I think when you walk away, not only is it kind of create that tension between you and them, but also and you don't have to do that either. Like if you're feeling super confident about yourself, stay and start having that conversation. But sometimes I think, especially if you're a woman who has never really approached someone, it's a much easier transition. You're already stepping outside of the box by doing this, but I think by giving you the permission to be able to say something and walk away, I think makes it a lot easier and then makes it a lot more doable. So that's number 3. Cheesy pickup line, funny joke, something like that. All right. So number 4 is for my truly introverted sisters who are brave. Who are willing to take this step. So this involves no conversation. So this is, if you follow other dating coaches, there's this technique which they call the white handkerchief. And I'm not going to go into much of what the white handkerchief, like there's different, it's basically letting someone know that you're interested in them by dropping a hint. And we're not talking about that in today's episode, right? We're talking about you actually taking the initiative and you approaching them. So this is what I call a white handkerchief, but in a very drastic way. So what you can do is you can, if you're out and about, and I know that there's probably more high-tech ways of doing this because I am an Xer. So even though I do consider myself pretty techie, I'm sure that there's other more techie ways of doing this, but write down your number on a handkerchief and just hand it to them and walk away. It's old school. Old school. Now, you could be like this woman from the article that maybe the person might end up texting or calling you, end up blocking them. But that's the greatest thing about technology too, is that you do have the capability of doing that. It's not like back in the 80s where we used to give them numbers and they used to call our house and there was really no way of blocking, right? Just go to an answering machine if we had an answering machine. Okay, sorry. We're not talking about what it was like as an Xer. But this is brave. And especially if I encourage women to do this, if you have clearly been giving signals all night, like you've been catching their eye, there's lots of eye contact. You can tell that every time you go into a room that they're also in a room. And so this is to me, like this is when the bars are closing or whatever's going on in the events, the event is closing or the event is over. This is such a great way of you writing down on a white napkin and just drop it off to them and off you go. And maybe there's like a way that you can connect phones or something. I don't know. This is way sexier to me. I know it's old school. You could even take it a step further, and on a white napkin, you could write your phone number and then you could put like a lip print or something like that. Again, this is fun. This is playful. This is being in the moment. You're not attached to outcomes. You know that you've done you don't have to walk away from the evening saying to yourself, oh my gosh, well, I wonder if they were, maybe I'll let that one slip away. You've done your job. You've done your job. So this is for women who are really uncomfortable in those kinds of situations where maybe you're not ready to make that initiative, but you still have enough confidence in yourself to just write your phone number on a piece of paper, on a white napkin and slide it over and then off you go. So those are my top 4. So it all comes down, here's the thing. It all comes down to having enough confidence to be able to do these things. And sometimes, I think that when you're out with your friends, this is really a great experiment that you and your friends can do together. This is the experiment that I had the women of the Peacock Room. This is what I had them do, which I can't wait to find out tomorrow night. Is that what our call is? Can't wait to find out this week of what happened when they all went out and tried these 4 different techniques. But I challenge you, get together with your friends, go on out. Test the waters. Especially if you're getting energy from someone across the room, give it a shot. You got nothing to lose. If you have that mindset of saying, okay, I have nothing to lose other than just to go and approach them and to possibly have a connection. And then maybe you can move on from that. Who knows, right? The point is that you're both humans. People are people. And if you're finding that you have a connection, or if you're seeing that there's someone across the room that you really want to connect with, do it. Go for it. There's nobody that's holding you back than you. And I know this isn't the traditional way, but this is the cat way. And I firmly believe in it. So I say, my love, go and seize the day and seize the moment and go and approach them. You have 4 ways to do it now. Okay. All right, my love. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If you're watching on YouTube, hi. How are you? It's good to see you. Please make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and click the bell. So every time we have a new episode, you are the first to know. And if you are listening on iTunes or Apple, it's Apple now, isn't it? Apple and Spotify. I love it if you would rate and review and of course, subscribe. Because I love it. We're getting more and more listeners. One of these days, I'm going to write down all the different countries that we have listeners, but every single episode, we're getting more and more listeners. And so thank you. If you've been new, Thank you. It means so much to have you here. So thank you so much. And if you are on Facebook or Instagram, if you want to be the first to know of this big event that's going on, please make sure and come and follow me at Kat Cantrell, CATCANTRI, 2 L's, double L's, 2 L's. All right. Well, thank you again, my love. And go for it. Do it. And then send me a message. Let me know how it goes. You're like, oh yeah, Kat, I did it. I want to know. Try one of these tactics and let me know how well you succeed. All right. Well, thank you so much, my love. And remember, true love is waiting for you, and I will see you next time.